Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. It's that time of the week once again, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, Monday afternoon. And for many of you, by the time you're watching this, your workday will have concluded, and I can only imagine the kind of day you must have had. Perhaps you forgot to send that all-important email at the last moment on Friday afternoon that your boss told you to send to schedule a meeting at 11 AM this morning with clients or partners that was set to catapult you out of office mediocrity and into a world of respect and reward with your boss or the upper echelons of your company. Or you simply got sprayed once again by that pesky water fountain in the corner of the office that maintenance still haven't had a look at and got high-quality mountain-grade spring water all over the crotch of your favourite suit trousers, much to the amusement and bemusement of your fellow female co-workers as you shuffle off towards the gents to try and dry it on a hand dryer that you actually remembered also has been on the blink for a month and maintenance still hasn't had a look at that either. Or perhaps you were simply sat at your desk for the whole day, counting the seconds, the minutes, the hours, until you could kick it back and relax. Whatever your grievances are, I'm here to help in any way, shape or form that I can. And to that end, I've got some Supcom goodness coming your way, baby, in the form of a ladder match. And it's going to take place on Loki. So let's go live to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Loki, of course, we're all incredibly familiar with. Love to watch matches on this map. Hate to play it. It is borderline minging. It's the only way to describe it. Let's take a look at the players. Up here at the top right in the red corner, it's my good friend Voodoo going his very customary UEF. Nice to see he's been fraternizing with other factions recently, having a little bit of a play and tinker around, as have many of the players in this game recently with all of the changes. Everyone's having a little bit of a fiddle with the sounds a bit wrong, you know what I mean, a little bit of a play with the other races, but no, he's back to normal and he's opening first land, second air, a couple of, or at least one engineer actually, and then one lab and then another engineer. So moderate to mild aggression there from Voodoo, and he's facing off against the quintessential Zock down here at the bottom left in the blue corner, who is still tinkering around with other races. Here we go. Of course, we all know his favorite race, Cybrin, but today he's all about the Seraphim, and he's also opening first land, second air, and he's going for a little bit more of a protectionist opening. 3 Selens off the bat coming out into this area here. It's going to give him fantastic coverage, and it's also most certainly going to see this mech marine that's on his way to Zock's base. Should have brought his sat-nav with him. He is all over the shop. Finally makes his way out of that little city section. We all know how annoying cities can be. You think they would have got sat-nav sorted out on board for mech marines by whatever year this is, but apparently not. And a second mech marine coming in as well from Voodoo. We've now got Thams rolling off as well to protect the expansionist engineers. If he'd have cut right earlier and gone for the engineer that would have been going up here, I imagine for this reclaim, there we go, he might have scored the kill. There is a protectionist Tham coming in now, but he might have scored the kill. However, he has gone for the expansionist engineer. This certainly would have caused more damage to Zock in the long run, but he's not going to be successful there. That Tham, losing only 70 hit points off the paintwork there, knocks aside that mech marine without any difficulty. Second mech marine doesn't fare much better. Boom, down he goes. Both of those engineers nice and safe for the moment. But you can imagine how much that would set Zock back if he'd have managed to take out that engineer. That is usually the engineer that's going to grab these two. He's not actually going to use it to go on and snag these mexes. That's quite a common expansionist route. It's boom, boom, snag these, and then maybe start base building down here. But Zock is actually going to throw together a land factory in between these two mexes here. So he's not pushing too hard from the expansionist side of things. He has placed a Selen on the cliff edge there and one just south of the river. You can see 4 factories queued up there from Voodoo. That'll be this engineer on his way in now. Now Zock will see that, of course. Excellent coverage there from those scouts. Of course, nice cloaking ability as well. It's very likely Voodoo won't get led onto that. That's not going to impede any of the construction on those things, so there's no reason for Voodoo to suspect that he'll be seen by that. However, he has just had a scout flying over the top, so if he's paying attention he will see that. And there is a bomber coming in as well now from Zock, having just seen that engineer. Bombs away. Voodoo does not micro and therefore does not save that engineer, cancels that build order, and that little base will not be constructed, at least not at the moment. Zock, having moved his ACU out of his main base, sitting just north of the little ridge here, knocks aside one unit, but isn't in time to save. I think there was an engineer down here, wasn't there? Yeah, that was him there. Yeah, so not in time to save that engineer. He was going about his merry business, throwing together a mechs, but that striker gets signed into the ethereal scrap pile in the sky before his time was due. Very sad indeed. However, Zock is looking like he's going to have an easy road up here. If Voodoo is to stop this, he's probably going to need to do it with a bomber. He's currently building a transport. He could potentially transport units over to that far left-hand corner first. If I did see right, I did get to see that Voodoo was saying he hates this map as well. He says, I'm losing 80% of my maps, or of my games here, sorry, on this map, so I hope you fare a little better today. Not that I want Zock to win, I'm just after a decent game. But there we go. Seeing Striker versus Tham. Striker emerging victorious, and actually it looked like the Tham missed a couple of shots there. Striker coming out with half his HP, looking pretty comfortable on that one, not too much to worry about. And indeed, there goes the transport, and it's coming straight over to this merry band of strikers and this snoop down here, so it's going to have good coverage wherever it's due to go. Is it going to the top left-hand corner? That would be a shrewd move. However, there is a bomber in the area. That's one thing he's got to be concerned about. He does have a couple of inties. He could shoot that down without any real difficulty, but for the moment, Voodoo not too bothered about sending that mission on its way. What are we looking at here in terms of factory? 1, 2, 3, 4 factories on the land side there for Voodoo and 1 air. And we've got 2 base factories and 1 air there for Zock, but he's got another one out here and another one over here as well. And he's already starting to move some units over. These Zooies have come across this little pond here, moving their way over here and going to start harassing this point of Voodoo's here. He needs to take out this Tham first, of course. But Voodoo stomping his way through the city region in the middle with his ACU. Where is he headed, I wonder? This is very aggressive play. This is how he is planning to change things up, trying to get out of this losing streak he says he seems to be on this map. I don't know whether he plays that way every single time. I imagine he doesn't. He's trying to be as aggressive against Zock as possible, but this little drop coming over to these 2 mass points and the hydro, focusing on chasing off these Zooies at first. One of them survives, gets further back onto the ponds, retreats, but then comes back in when they move back in to put some damage on this factory. We'll keep an eye on that. How's the ACU doing? Makes his way into that middle pond there. Where is he headed? He is going for this little side base here. And I do like that maneuver. It's looking pretty interesting though, but definitely Voodoo down at the moment on eco by quite a considerable margin, 28 mass to 35. And that's without Zock making use of these 7 mexes down here, or mass points I should say, that he could pick up. Just needs to get an NG on the case. In terms of map control, definitely going Zock's way at the moment. And look at this, was that a cheeky drop? Can't see any wreckage anywhere, but that could be really annoying for Voodoo. Little Zooey appearance. They might have just made their way across the top of the map actually and hung a right. In come the strikers though. Knock them aside without any real difficulty, but 1 mech's down. That's a mechs of course that Voodoo can't afford to lose. Meanwhile, Voodoo's ACU busy reclaiming that factory, going to get as much mass out of it as possible. Actually, he sort of just reclaimed it to a point where it exploded. He's not actually reclaiming the wreck, although I imagine he will do. Those new explosions are something else, has to be said. And we've got a transition to T2 now for Zock, who's already got 3 Ilshivas on the playing field. Be making their move over here. That's the next section I imagine Zock wants to assault. Still hasn't managed to get any engineers out this way though. Of course there's a flipping great ACU in between that portion of the map and Zock's main base, so getting engineers over there is going to be tricky unless he airlifts them. Can of course send them around this way, but it might take a little bit longer. And now finally Voodoo looking like he wants to make a push up top. All strikers on board. Could struggle. There is one PD in place and soon to be another one. Will he get it finished in time? That's the question. I think he will. How does Voodoo see this area? He doesn't have the best intel over this way, which is understandable. 10 minutes gone. You're not expected to have intel everywhere. He has got one Lobo in the mix. And you can see Zock beelining for that. Lobo wants to take it out of commission and save those point defense. He manages to do. If Voodoo's going to make a move, he's going to have to do it with more units. He's not going to have any success otherwise. And onwards march those Ilsheva, and this might be a bit of a shock for Voodoo. This area comprised wholly of T1 at the moment for Voodoo. Has he made the transition to T2 tech? And Zuis have made it round the back as well, so Zock being very aggressive. At minute 11 here. We've also got Land Factory up here that has made the transition to T2, so Voodoo has T2 but hasn't yet got any T2 units out onto the field. One Ilsheva left out of those three, but has knocked aside a fair old chunk of T1 there. A couple of units of build capacity about to suffer the same fate as the rest of those units as well. It could do with knocking down this radar. There it goes as soon as he spots it. Finally, some reinforcements turn up and put an end to that Ilsheva. And now, of course, we have T2 factory upgraded over here. Now Zock has access to T2 tech. This was something that TA has been saying a lot about, something that concerns him, the ability to have T2 turning up almost anywhere on the map. It's definitely a different style of play. I'm not sure it affects the game particularly negatively. It is, after all, the same for all players. I think it's a particularly negative facet of the game. It's just different. But lots of build capacity in this area here for Voodoo, about to get massacred. As these units from Zock just stroll through this area, lapping away the engineers as they go. We'll take a look at who's doing better on reclaim. 9,000 there for Voodoo and 6,000 for Zock, so Voodoo definitely doing better on the reclaim side of things, and he's caught up quite considerably on the mass front as well. ACU's moved over here down the bottom. He snagged these three mexes, just needs to get over here and hold these ones as well. Of course, Zock can see everything that's going on down here thanks to this Selen, but one engineer going about his business. So, map looking very much more like a 50-50 split now in terms of mass distribution. Voodoo doing a little bit better at upgrading his core, perhaps, his core eco. Four Ilshevas just marching through this top base, causing all kinds of damage, but there are pillars now on the scene there for Voodoo. But not enough of them. As those pillars go down, those Ilshevas tear through what's left of the T1. More pillars turning up on the scene though. Can he save that T2 mechs? No, he can't. And down go the Ilsheva. They do manage to take out that plasma cannon, that T1 PD. It's not a catastrophic amount of damage inflicted on Voodoo, but it has been enough to get his nose back in front, Zock. And he's now got access to T2 air as well. We can see some renegades on the field. Sorry, not renegades. I'm so used to him playing Cybran. Forget, of course, he's going Seraphim today. Those are Volthus. But nonetheless, T2 gunships on the scene. And the Interceptor's going straight over here. He might be going for a snipe. Voodoo's already taking some damage from some Ilshevas on the field. In come the Volthus. Those Interceptors will run good air coverage, but Voodoo's got lots of Interceptors of his own. In they come. They will be focusing the gunships first. It's a question of whose air power is stronger, but Voodoo's already down into the yellow, 4,000 hit points and falling. How many gunships does Zock have left, and will it be enough? Into the red, 2,200 hit points and falling, 1,500. 1400, and suddenly he runs out of steam. There are still Ilshivers on the ground. He needs to be careful. Nice overcharge deals with one of them, though. Down to 500 hit points, 400 hit points, 300 hit points. Oh, this is close. Zock still bringing in Volthus one at a time. Voodoo literally a hair's breadth away from death, but has won the interceptor game. Also, some Janus have turned up as well, so has a little bit more air power, and the gunships that are still being built now being rally pointed away. My god, that was close. Voodoo on next to nothing, and a parashield has been built. I guarantee you that's going straight towards the commander. He's got to be concerned about some kind of fighter bomber strike. There it is, of course, fighter bombers delivering their damage instantly rather than gunships. If you can get a few of those together, you can see Zock building them up, but that parashield should block any bombs for at least one pass and buy Voodoo enough time to shoot down those planes, prevent them from getting a second pass. In the meantime, though, more Ilshivers up top here, just posturing against this group of pillars and other associated T1 or assorted T1 there from Voodoo. I can't work out whether Zock is planning to go for this. I think he thinks he must have got back to safer territory. He's stopped building fighter bombers and started building interceptors instead. But Voodoo has allowed the parashield to march on, protecting his troops. He feels like he's in safe territory. If I were him, I'd be going straight to the water. Yes, he is. And indeed, there was that drop I was wondering about earlier, those Zooies that got dropped off in the lake. That will be the wreckage. I'm surprised he hasn't managed to break through with this many Ilshivers. Yes, there are some pillars in this mix, but Volthus come through here to try and dish out some damage, but there are a lot of inties, of course, in the area there for Voodoo, but he does continue straight on. This is some kind of weird scouting pattern that's going on here. It could do with bringing them back and knocking out those gunships, and indeed finally they get a new set of orders to do just that. But in the meantime, he's going to withdraw these land forces. In they come, down go the gunships, but the Ilshivers still pursuing these forces. Little engineer builds a radar which gets destroyed immediately. Shortest shelf life of any intel structure in the history of the game. Janus skirting, strafing these assault bots overhead, trying to cause as much damage as they can. Voodoo needs to reassign more troops up here, I think. He's just got the odd Janus just kind of dotting around now, going after mexes. And it's a good job too. It's keeping them very, very close together at the moment in terms of eco. But look what's happened. Zock has managed to push through down here. Voodoo, having to retreat with his ACU, has lost the option on these three mass points here. And there's now a nasty little base that's sprung up right next to them there for Zock. And a single solitary Tham has wiped out all four of those mexes in the corner, and they're potentially a bunch of build capacity about to get threatened as well there for Voodoo. A lot of fighter bombers in the air. Interceptors as well there for Zock. And Voodoo going after those fighter bombers, it looks like kind of a mistake. He's definitely outnumbered in the air. Guess he just wants to take them out of the game, not worry about the consequences so much. Not to mention there's Iosheva around here. It's floating flak there for Seraphim. It's an interesting dynamic this game has taken on, moving into the 22nd minute now. But still reasonably close on mass. Zock, well, Zock a little ways ahead, I guess. But now Voodoo his turn to have some success up here, and what was a mighty band of Ilshivers is now been reduced to just a couple, and they're fleeing away, and that's a terrible place to land your interceptors. They promptly get blapped. It's going to lose each and every one of them. That's a real shame. Once again, still facing lots of point defense. There's 2 in place, a third about to be completed. Yes, there are a couple of parashields in the mix. This is going to be interesting, though. Meanwhile, lots of build capacity getting caught out here by a cheeky little point defense erection there from that engineer and a radar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or so, 9 maybe engineers taken out there. Forward come the Lobos in the meantime up here. Try and range that group of PD. Manages to take out just one of them. Still looking like he doesn't really have the punching power to take that out right now. Still on T2 only for the moment in Voodoo's base. And we're halfway to T3 land there for Zock. So Zock looking to be ahead in the tech game. Once again, the ecos have equalized. Voodoo ahead on power as a side note. But looks like finally this top left base is about to get overrun. That's 4 less mexes for Zock, putting Voodoo ahead. Question is, he's going to be facing a tech deficit if he doesn't move soon. Still not upgrading that HQ to T3. He is, however, shoving an upgrade on the commander down here. I'll have to take a look at that in a minute. Single solitary transport out the back there for Zock. Not sure what he's up to. But Voodoo actually looking quite dominant suddenly on mass. 94 to 65, if that's to be believed. Of course, we've got an element of fluctuation in there. Let's have a look at the reclaim factors. 31k and climbing there for Voodoo. And Zock just 10k. And I think you could definitely say that that has been instrumental on the progression of this game so far. Voodoo down on map control, but managed to claw it back, whilst at the same time getting ahead on eco, well, being really no further ahead than, or no, not ahead at all in terms of map control. You could say it's arguably 50-50 right now, but a largely superior force of interceptors there from Voodoo right above Zock's base, and that's definitely handing air control over to Voodoo in a big way. And we've got some stingers in play now as well from Voodoo. They can go on a happy, merry little hunting mission for mexes now. They're not going to be facing much threat from the air. And a little cheeky drop up here at the top, though, from Zock. Bunch of Zooies on the ground. How long they're going to last? They have some pillars closing in on their position. But one single stinger wailing away on that mex. And of course those Vulthus, incredibly irritating, can shoot at other gunships as well. Should have had a detachment of interceptors guarding that stinger, but it's not a great loss. But now we're seeing some Othams in the mix. So Voodoo will be aware now that Zock has hit T3 land. See how difficult it is for him to deal with it. He's going to have to back off if he wants to keep any of those units in play. But he has also made the transition to T3 very quickly indeed. We're already seeing Percivals on the field. And of course, late game, Sarah's still having issues with Percivals and ways to counter them. Zock, meanwhile, down here on his ACU blapping away. Voodoo forced to retreat. Now some flak being built by that ACU. Let's take a look at what Voodoo was upgrading there on that commander. He's got the T2 engineering suite. It was just that. Throw a few extra hit points onto the commander. Always worthwhile. Quite a significant mass advantage now for Voodoo. Zock has tried to claw back this top corner, but I think there's too many units in the area still for Voodoo. If Voodoo can get down here, knock out these engineers, take out this land factory, he'll secure it once again, no problems. Zock doing his Gandalf impression there. That definitely shall not pass. Instead, Voodoo turns tail with what units he has to regroup with some more further back. But that's quite a few Othams on the field there. Should be able to claw back some territory with those. But Voodoo really needs to expand back into this top corner. He's got one engineer going that way as we speak. And down goes that land factory. But still, I mean, in terms of map control, it's looking very, very 50-50. I suppose you could say Zock's got a little bit of an incursion going north of the pond and the eastern edge of the map. And then, of course, Voodoo still holds all of this, while Zock's only just expanding into these now, so it's very close, but you look at the difference in terms of eco. Voodoo doing significantly better. Another upgrade on the commander there, just using the engineers though. And those Othams coming around the back of this group of units up here. Of course, they can submerge and go underwater. But Zock needs to be a little bit careful now. He's been holding this ridge very nicely indeed with his commander, but there are Percivals in the mix. He steps out, blaps one of them with overcharge. Nice little dodge back and forth. This is one of the predictable return fire volleys there from that Percival, but needs to get another overcharge on that Percy if he can. But Janus coming in all over the shop, and that's going to be major problems for Zock. He's down into the red, 2,600 HP, dancing very effectively left and right. Needs to come out of any potential line of fire, but down to virtually nothing. 400, 300, 200. This is going to be incredibly close. Still on 200. Zock microing like a boss. Single figures, I think, there. But surely he's not going to make it out of this, and he doesn't. Very nice play. Voodoo holding dominant air power for the latter part of that game. Just continue to build Janus, so he knew once he put enough damage onto the commander with the Percivals, it was time to bring those in, and he could brush that commander aside without any real difficulty. If only Zock had had a little bit of flak in the area, he might have been able to hold that off. And that's got to hurt as well when you think how close Voodoo was to dying up here. But you got to feel that Voodoo earned it, especially since he's had so much trouble, obviously, on this map of late. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that. As always, more to come from me in the future, so stay tuned. In the meantime, of course, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle, signing out.